Welcome to the Insulin Suppression Podcast, where it's all about going from hopeless to healed with certainty, right action, and science. Hey, welcome. It's Charlie McDermott and Barbara McDermott.
Hi, everybody.
And we're here again. I think this is episode number 4. Can you believe it?
Oh, I thought it was 3.
Nah, this is episode 4 of the Insulin Suppression Podcast.
Time flies.
And time does fly. And, we're actually picking up from last week's episode. And you ended with a song that's still in my head.
Oh
Do you
my
remember
gosh,
that song?
I can't remember. Which one? Oh, well, the Double Dutch Bus.
Yeah.
Well, because I was in our last podcast.
Oh, she got
John,
that right.
that's for you,
She didn't even
John.
know what this was called last week, so
Okay.
we're improving.
You know, some things are, you don't need to know everything, right? Well, anyway, last podcast we had talked about food being, at one point in my life, my 4-letter word, because it created just overwhelm and what I called Twesco, treading water in a sea of chronic overwhelm. I just couldn't get out of it. Well, then I ended with the fact that when I was a little girl, when my mom would get irritated, she'd go, sugar. So sugar was like her cuss word. Well, sugar really can be a little bit of a cuss word to all of us, but I think what really drives us crazy is that we know enough to make us confused. What did Mark Twain say? You know, it's not what we know or don't know that gets us into trouble. It's what we know that ain't so. So sugar is a whole planet into its, of itself, because most of us look at sugar, I call it externally. You know, we're food shopping, we're out at restaurants, we're at parties, and we see desserts and pastries and
I call
treats.
them the so-called naughty foods.
Yeah,
right?
You would assume that they're the guilty foods. They're the ones we should, practice moderation and avoid and yada yada yada.
Deprive ourselves of.
Yes. So sugar, most of us think of it as just along those kinds of foods, as we had done too. Right? However, when you become a seeker and you start understanding food, not so much from a nutritional perspective, but a metabolic perspective, your eyes are open to go, wait, what? Then you want to say sugar, because internally, our body digests all carbohydrate, digests to sugar, blood sugar, glucose. These are all one and the same. You have your fructose in fruits, you have your lactose in dairy products, you have your sucrose that's in your table sugar. So there's all different kinds of, or versions of. However, if you were to flip a product over that was in a package, or you have a database where you understand fat, protein, and carbohydrate involved in all of our foods, that C word, that carbohydrate word, that total carbohydrate really represents teaspoons of sugar to our internal environment.
So your body doesn't care if it comes in via a Twinkie, a piece of 300 grain whole bread. How about vegetables? How about fruits?
All of these are sugars. So they're not good, they're not bad, they're nothing. It's science. All we need to do is start looking at that C, that carbohydrate, and we get an idea of how much of a burden we're putting on our biome. We over carbohydrate, really. If we're vegetarian, as we had been, we are a carbohydrate eater. If we go to even further, veganism, that's even further ensuring that carbohydrate is the lion's share of your way of eating. These are the kinds of situations that we unknowingly end up developing Alzheimer's and dementia and atherosclerosis and neuropathy and diabetes, and it feeds cancer. Carbohydrates.
Yeah. And oftentimes, it's in the pursuit of nutrition.
Yes.
Right?
We think we're doing our body better.
Yeah.
And, a quick little reference point is that, and this what blew us away, because we had to become sleuths. We have a daughter who was diagnosed with type 1 in 2008. So, through the years, things start not adding up. Actually, they start adding up. And your actions create lousy rather than lovely. So you start dissecting and digging in. And here's what knocked me off my rocker, so to speak, with sugar, is that carbohydrate consumed, doesn't matter what kind, doesn't matter. Carbohydrate consumed, just 4 grams. Just 4 grams.
1 teaspoon.
Is 1 teaspoon of blood sugar. So 4 grams of any carbohydrate is equivalent to 1 teaspoon amount in our body. And that's the amount that our body will work tirelessly through that superhero hormone insulin to bring our blood sugar back down to 1 teaspoon amount. Now, this doesn't mean that we endorse only eating 4 grams of carbohydrate all day long, but
that wouldn't be fun.
You know, if you are in the American Diabetes Association or other related kind of directives out there, that they tell us maybe to eat about 60 grams of carbohydrate per meal. When our body is happiest at just 4 grams. That's a lot of grams to have to process.
Yeah.
And
over the course of the day, over the course of the week, the month.
And if you're 9 years old and you're running around the schoolyard, then you have basketball practice and you're in grow and go mode, yeah, you can handle that much carbohydrate. But as soon as we start, this is how you know we have too much carbohydrate in our lives. As soon as our waist begins to expand, that is our body's way of, after using up carbohydrate as much as we need and restoring glycation in our muscles and liver, the rest starts going around our middle. This is why as we age, typically we expand around our waistline. That's your, I know it sounds really simple, but you're carrying your blood sugar around your waist.
And also your fuel source, right?
Yes, well, it becomes fat, yeah. Transfers blood sugar. Carbohydrate becomes glucose. Glucose is blood sugar. Blood sugar gets converted to fat. It's safer to carry your fuel, that excess sugar. It's safer to carry it as fat around our body than it is to allow it to be circulating in our bloodstream, because that sugar gets broken down into advanced glycated end products. I think we mentioned that last week a little bit, but it's nice to hear it over and over again. Repetition breeds mastery. So that AGE, that's the corrupted. Sure, it's when molecules of sugar start sticking to proteins in our body. Our proteins are all of our cells, our tissues. This is how neuropathy develops, diabetes, diabetic neuropathy. This is how our eyesight begins to fail as we age. AGE, an acronym for aging, it's the typical accumulation. And the more carbohydrate we consume, the faster we age.
Wow.
I know. Sugar.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you know, these iPods, John's got me in my head.
There you go.
These podcasts are really about just developing awareness. You know, any kind of action that we can take towards improving our health really begin with us even just being aware of them. Yeah. We weren't aware of them. We avoided fat like the plague, didn't think much about protein, and said carbohydrate, let's have at it. You know,
and not only
we thought that was the safe thing.
I was going to say, not only were we not aware of it, but we were playing by what I call the flawed rules of health. Eat healthy. We were eating healthy.
Oh boy, were we eating healthy.
And our clients, my goodness, you know,
I know, they
beat themselves up because they're following the rules. They don't realize they're flawed.
These were our health club members, not our current clients.
Yeah. And
previous days, health club days.
Yeah, and even our new clients before they become clients, when they come in.
Yes.
You know, the as you call it, the blame and shame game, because you know, we think our bodies aren't capable or are broken somehow, and it's just simply,
or our character is weak. Yeah. That's the worst one.
Yeah, the willpower and the discipline. I'm not disciplined.
I'm a sinner. No. I've heard people say that.
Yeah.
No, you're not a sinner. Your body is just set up to be a winner, but we've been playing by the wrong rules. Yeah. You know the rules. Hey, we can all be. I was just saying this to Zeba and I were talking today. You know, one of our shifters. You know, we all just want to do the right thing. We just need to know what the right rules are. That's it. Yeah. Okay, is that a wrap?
That's a wrap. If you want to learn more, if you want to schedule time to talk to one of us, go to our website, www.theshiftformula.com. Fill out a form. We'll schedule time. We'll talk more. And regardless of what you decide to do, make sure you come back next week for episode number 5.
Wow. We'll have to do something about 5. I'll do that. Okay, so here's to shift and no more having to say sugar. Yeah.
We'll see you guys soon.